Hey there folks, welcome back to Chits and Cardboard, and today I am so excited to bring you one of my favorite topics, Japanese board games. If you're unfamiliar, the Japanese board gaming scene is a grassroots community of designers and gamers that get together twice a year for an event called the Tokyo Game Market where they share their latest creations. This is such a charming way to release board games into the world, but unfortunately it means their print runs are very small and it makes it very difficult for us in the West and Canada and the US to get them. I've been privileged that I've gotten to play a whole bunch of Japanese board games, and with Uchiba Koya's rise in Western popularity, they're starting to crack into our community, so I thought what better time to make a list of my top 10 Japanese board games. If this is something that interests you, stick around and I'll catch you in a second. Before we start this list, I just want to caveat I have not included trick-taking games in this list. I know people's most beloved games from Japan are trick-takers, but that would be a different list. This is purely for board games, and the first game, aka number 10 on this list, is The Great Evening Banquet, designed and published by Sashi. This is a drafting, tile-laying game where each round you are taking guests and sorting them into a great evening banquet. You are playing as the state house, hosting a dinner, trying to seat people in the correct places as to not piss off the various attendees from different countries, represented by colors. Effectively, there's 4 types of attendees: young men, young women, old men, old women, and 5 different colors those attendees fit into, representing the countries they could be from. You're trying to seat people in a way where you are meeting the requirements of both the tables, the attendees themselves, and the central objectives of the state dinner. Central objectives might include, in your center column, you only want blue attendees from that country, or it might include you want 3 different colors in an entire column. It might include for every 2 old men in a column, you get 1 point at the end of the game, while also meeting table requirements, including things like no blue attendees can be at this table, or this table must have 2 old ladies. The way this game plays is each round you flip a card. That card has how many attendees you're adding to each carriage. There's 1 carriage per player. And then the players in turn order will draft a carriage and place all those attendees at their table. The second all the tables are full, the game ends, and the player with the most points wins. This game is very charming, very fast, and absolutely fantastic. It is super number crunchy, and there's an advanced mode I haven't even explained in here, which just really rattles your brain. So if you get the chance, I definitely suggest trying it out. My number 9 is a fantastic tile drafting, tile laying game by a company called Suiworks, and it is called Desolito. In Desolito, you are playing as a city builder attempting to design the best city by drafting tiles and placing them in your tableau in a way where you're closing in many of the same type of building. If you close in an area and there are many types of buildings, you'll get less points, but there are central objectives that want you to close buildings in certain ways. The way you're doing so is there's pools of tiles between you and the players to your left and right, and each turn you're going to draft either from the right or from the left, alternating, and put those tiles into a pillar. Your first tile will enter the lowest spot, and then so on and so forth. When you place the tiles, you have to place them in a last in, first out order, meaning you must place from top to bottom in your pillar. This introduces such a cool puzzle where you have to plan ahead at what point you want that tile to be entered into your space, as well as which tiles you're drafting at what time to make sure you get them. I love Desolito. It's such an interesting puzzle and such a simple game. I will say this comes with some dual layered player boards that make it very difficult to see the borders of tiles and where your areas are closed in or not. So I would suggest playing it without the board, but otherwise this is fantastic and I strongly recommend it. My number 8 is a game that fulfilled via Kickstarter, and it's designed by Nikaido Konomi and published by Asabition, and that game is Beverage. Oh, Beverage. This game is fantastic. You are playing as a CEO of a beverage company trying to take advantage of the fact a new stadium is coming to your town. Thematically, it's a little bit fast and loose, but you're advertising for this company, you're gaining shares for this company, you are building factories for this company, attempting to gain the most victory points. Now, that's not what makes this cool. The money management system in this is brilliant. Effectively, at the start of each round, every player will bid for how much money they want from this central vending machine. You then open the vending machine, count all the money, and distribute from lowest to highest all the bids. If there isn't enough money, you bust and get punished for the last people or whoever doesn't get money out of the machine. This introduces a really interesting dynamic because the money that's in the machine is the money the players spend during each round. So you're paying attention to what somebody else is doing because you want to make sure you can track how much money approximately is still in the machine. This becomes more challenging than you think, but it does a phenomenal job at every player count of keeping people engaged, which is so difficult for a game of this weight and stature. I think this is so smart, and it might not be easy to get, but I hope you get a chance to play it one day. It is a treat, and that is my number 8, Beverage. My number 7 is probably the heaviest game on this list, and it is by Analog Lunchbox called Bean to Bar. This is a heavy Euro-style game with really unique elements where you are playing as a chocolatier attempting to take chocolate from bean to bar to store. You're doing so by traveling to the various locations that have coffee beans and building relationships, taking those coffee beans and turning them into these polyomino chocolate pieces, playing those polyomino pieces into your board, getting chocolate of various values, and then entering your chocolate into contests attempting to win contests. This game is super cool, and the action selection system is super interesting, where you're playing on a rondelle and kind of have to always move clockwise. But in doing so, when you land on a row or column, you can choose to do the actions of that row or column during that round. Now, every action will cost you a combination of beans and time, and you only have so many beans and so much time. So your first action will cost you 1 bean and 1 time, your second action 1 bean and 2 time, and you can do a maximum of 3 actions for 1 bean and 3 time. Now, time being a finite resource only comes back at a certain amount per round, so you can put yourself into overdrive, but you'll run out of the capability to do actions later in the game. You are trying to most optimally get beans from suppliers, turn those beans into chocolate bars, then enter those chocolate bars into contests. You also optionally can hire staff, which give you strong passive bonuses, and you can open stores, which allow you to sell your chocolate round over round to make money. Thematically, this game is an absolute checkbox, and I just think it is so charming and fantastic. I could not possibly recommend it any more strongly. Give it a shot, Bean to Bar. My number 6 Japanese game is a game by 14 Games called Snow Planner. This is a fairly midweight Euro-style game as well. It is from 14 Games. It recently re-fulfilled on Kickstarter. I had the original version a couple years ago, then got this deluxe version recently with like dual layer everything because I love the game so much. This is a game where you are operating as a planner slash coordinator for like a ski resort or lodge. You're attempting to attract both regular and VIP guests into your lodge by meeting various criteria, and doing so using dice as workers, which can slowly pip up and upgrade throughout the game by spending resources. There are also events that will affect the game's central objectives to score and the ability to gain passives for the rest of the game, provided you pay for them. I think this game is so charming and so special, and it doesn't do, unlike Bean to Bar, it doesn't do anything super unique. It just plays so smooth and so crisp, and it really justifies the price of admission. This game is presently available from 14 Games site. It is very expensive to ship it to Canada or the US, so prepare your wallet, but it really is worth it, and I hope you give it a shot. My number 5 game is a very well-known Japanese game at this point, and that is Aqua. This is such a charming little game where you are trying to build the highest scoring, most prestigious aquarium by way of drafting fish from a ratcheting style worker placement mechanism. Basically, all the players are constantly moving forward around this track. The player who's furthest back on the track takes the next turn, so you can have consecutive turns. And you're just trying to take fish and put them into various tanks. So you have to move your worker and take the fish you want, and then move your worker on your board and place the fish in a tank based on where your worker is. I think this game is so clever. I think the special fish make it awesome. The component quality is great, and there is a ton of content. Also, if you're looking for this, this will be available on a new Kickstarter called Aqua Sky Dino Garden that's coming out on Kickstarter in a few days. So I'll link that down below if you want to check it out, but this game is fantastic. It's in my like top 20 games of all time. It's just, yeah, so good. Such a refreshing experience. A lot of the things these Japanese games do feel very refreshing and different, and this is probably one of the most recommended games I'd say you should buy if you're looking for something like this. Anyway, this is Aqua Garden, Totsuka Chuo, absolutely fantastic. Uchiba Koya. On to the next one. My number 4 Japanese game might be the best party game ever. It takes a certain group, and it definitely wouldn't be the game you'd break out at every party because it would become a little bit overwhelming, but that game is Gibberers by Hobby Japan. Now, Where do I even start? This is a lot of game. In this game, you are inventing a new language as a group, and you are talking that new language to continue playing the game. So basically, you take your native language, you take 16 words, and you create new words in some made-up language for those 16 words. Once those new words are done, you can only talk in this new language from now on, other than to guess the words on cards. The rest of this game kind of plays like charades, where you're speaking your new language, you have 16 words to work with, so everyone's talking gibberish. But then someone draws a card and it says, okay, you have to make a new word for fire and then communicate to everyone that that new word means fire. You might have the words, I know hot. So you go, I know hot in the new language. And they guess, oh, I know. And then they switch back, they say fire. If they get it right, that new word is added, it's defined as fire, you move on. You do this a whole bunch of times, basically as long as you want, adding words. And as you add words, the words get more complicated. Like one of the words in round 5 is astrophysics, which is just like, how do you use the new language's 30 words to describe this word? It's crazy. Charades definitely has more to do with this than I thought it would, but the end and the result is a language that you and that group of people now know that nobody else knows. And it's really magical how it comes together, especially in the longer version of this game. I took this game to a bachelor party. We played it at the bachelor party. It was a hit, but everyone felt okay about it. But you know what was magical is at the wedding, everyone was talking in that language. We were saying stuff in that language to each other, and it was hilarious. And we all looked back like, we should do that again. It's so spectacular. I cannot recommend it enough, and it is Gibberers. Give it a shot if you could find it. My third place game on this list is a very special game that has really unique mechanisms for a Japanese style Euro game, and that game is Eauchemin. In this game, you are playing as traders that are gathering resources down the river and then trading those resources within the various local towns. To do so, you're also playing a very similar ratcheting mechanism to Aqua Garden or Parks in that you must move your boat forward and you spend workers and gain various resources. For example, you might use a basic worker to gain a scroll, or you might use an advanced worker to get a stone or whatever. You then come out of the river and it turns into like this worker placement optimization puzzle kind of deal where the resources that you added to your boat have to be spent in the reverse order you got them, very similar to Desolito. They clearly have a design language. So I've gained a scroll first, then wood, then stone. I have to spend them in order: stone, wood, scroll. To do so, there are various locations in towns that have various trading opportunities. You're going to try to order your visitation of those towns to complete those trading opportunities. This turns into an interesting puzzle where the simplest part of the game where you're gaining the resources actually ends up being the phase where your brain is trying to like rack and plan everything you're going to do later. Your boat is also limited by how many resources you can hold, how far you can move, and how many workers you have. So you're constantly trying to get the most out of what you're able to do. There are city locations and factory locations. Cities are used to perform trades with that city, and factories are used to upgrade your boat. And you have to move between them, and your boat's movement is limited. So if you're stranded on the open water or you're stranded in a city, you have to pay coins to keep your boat afloat as maintenance. This is just brilliant, and I haven't done justice with the explanation, but my gosh, like it is just so special playing this and trying to plan your turns out. And by the end of round 2, you're like, oh, I really got to think about the order stuff enters my boat, because as you increase your storage, you have more items entering your boat, but now the order becomes so much more significant because you have to make sure you're hitting this resource by the right timing to be in that location and hoping that somebody else didn't take your trade. It's just crazy. It's a lot. I think SuiWorks actually still has this available. If they do, give it a shot. The import will be expensive, but it's worth it, and it is called Eauchemin. My second favorite Japanese game is a game that I've been lucky enough to have my hands on for quite a while, but the whole world is now finding out about it thanks to BGA, and that is Rumble Nation. It's one of my favorite games ever. I've played it so much. It's probably my most played game of all time, and it is so easy to teach that I'll teach it to you right now. There are 11 locations on a map that are segmented by lines as areas which are randomly numbered 2 to 12. Each round, you'll have the opportunity to add workers to the map by rolling 3 dice and splitting them into 2 groups, 1 group of 2 and a single die. Your group of 2 is the location you're putting workers on. Example, if you rolled 6, you get to put your people on location 6. Your group of 1 is how many people you're going to put. If you roll a 1 or 2, you put 1 person. If it's a 3 or 4, you put 2 people. If it's a 5 or 6, you put 3 people. The way this game works is the higher locations are worth more points, but the lower locations resolve first because all the battles resolve once everyone's pieces have been put out in number order. Ties are broken by who put all of their workers out first, And in the number order, if you win a battle, you get to reinforce all adjacent spaces, which are set up randomly, with extra workers because you won that battle. The player who wins the most points, aka the most locations that have the most points on them by the end of the game, wins. This game's awesome. There's also cards that are involved that you can choose to or not to play with that let you do like one-time actions as opposed to taking your turn. There's mitigation in that if you have a horrible roll the first time, you can re-roll all of your dice once, but it's not that serious. It plays in like 30 minutes and it's just a hoot every single time. I cannot recommend this game enough. It is in stock in multiple places in the US right now. It's one of the few games that actually broke across the barrier, so if you can find it, give it a shot. Rumble Nation. We have made it to my favorite Japanese game of all time, and I know that this is a well-known game, so I'll give it a bit of an introduction. We've made a review on it. It has the most interesting action selection mechanism I've ever seen, and it is fairly available if you want to try to get your hands on it, and that game is Ostia. Ostia is phenomenal. The action selection rondelle mechanism is phenomenal. We have a full review on it that I can put an icon for up here if you want to go watch it, but just trust me, this game, if you're into heavier games, is worth your look. You are basically playing a racing game attempting to get boats to the end of a path or multiple paths. You're doing so by a rondelle action selection where like you have a bunch of pieces in a space, you take your pieces off that space and gain resources in that location equal to the pieces you took off, and then you start placing pieces clockwise, and wherever you put the last one is the action you do. And there's 6 actions to play with. It is just absolutely unbelievable how brain burny this gets because every action uses the pieces or the resources on its location. So you have to take the pieces off, land somewhere else, but then have the resources back there and then somehow get back there to use those resources in a way that makes sense in terms of order of operations. The first time you play this, it'll break your brain. The second time you play this, it'll fly by, and at 2 players, this game plays in like 45 minutes. We're talking like, I don't know for sure because I haven't redone my list for the year, but this is probably top 15 territory, and I recommend it so strongly. They are printing a new game from Uchibakoya and Tatsukachuo called Sweetlands, and that is delivering soon-ish. So when it does, you should be able to get this off the back of that campaign on their site or even locally, because a lot of people bought it with that campaign. Uchibakoya is starting to become a lot more popular and available in North America, so if you're looking for this game, it should shortly be attainable. But that is number 1, and it deserves number 1. I know it's available, I know you can get it. It is still phenomenal, and I strongly recommend it, and I don't have anything else to say except for watch our review because it's really good. With that, thank you so much for watching. I hope there was a Japanese game in this list that looked intriguing to you that you wanted to try, and I will catch you next time. Thanks for watching. See ya.